Well, good morning, Jeanette.
You got in there first.
I did. That's about time, isn't it?
Straight in.
I know.
Don't know what to say.
Do we need to just have a minute for Jeanette's fringe, by the way? Are you being,
yeah.
or are you being netty today?
I'm missing my floppy bit.
It's very crucial, that fringe, isn't
It
it?
gets rid of the line.
Have you found it's helped you concentrate more?
Not particularly.
It's just like you're just very focused. Very sharp, isn't it?
Yes,
Very
very
sharp.
sharp, very sharp. Yeah.
Very sharp fringe.
Well, I'm Ramette Janston. Now that you completely discombobulated me. Did you see my little dyslexia joke?
I did. Good plug. In fact, but joking aside, we got a lot of positive feedback about that, didn't we? About the fact that we've been talking quite honestly about.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we are introducing ourselves a bit, but that, joking aside, we've actually had a lot of positive feedback about that, about the fact
Being
that
honest.
that you shared your story, and I think that whole vulnerability, openness from senior leaders is something that is really powerful, and we don't do that.
Authenticity, I think, is it?
Yeah.
I suppose.
So yeah, I would be Yelly Cork if I
Yelly
went with
Cork.
which I just realised as well, which is brilliant.
Like that, yeah. All right,
You can't do yours.
Borden Jerry Bayliss. Not sure how that works. Not sure. Welcome everybody. Good to be here. And then also, actually, I've got my own branded, because you'll have remembered from one of our previous episodes, I was quite impressed with your branded clobber. She's all about branding.
Gratuitous plug. We always do the ding, and when
And
we do
I think I'm
gratuitous
just going to
plug.
manage expectations. I think that me and Kelly are going to be doing a lot of talking, and Nettie's not.
Yes.
I think she's passed this one to us on purpose, haven't we? Because
A little bit.
we've been. So what's been great about the last few episodes we've done, we have obviously the whole purpose of this is that we're talking about a narrative that means something to you and resonates. And we've had a question actually from Joe, who actually works for a very well-known investment bank, and actually quite rightly she's asking us what our views are, and I'm sure you've got a stat for us, Kenny, haven't you?
I haven't actually got stats,
but you've got something
we've
on
got
there.
some bits
You've got
to
something
go
written
with
down,
it,
which is
yeah,
helpful,
yeah.
because
Like a bit of data.
I've got a lot less written down here, but basically she's talking about, which I'm sure is on a lot of HR people's minds, what is the change in legislation from an employment law perspective that's going to be coming in from Labour under the wonderful Keir Starmer? So I'm going to hand over to you.
And the reason we've agreed to cover that between the three of us is yet another directive that is going to sit on the desk of the HR people to execute. And actually what today is about is that, we've got you, we know that, and actually we wanted to just talk about that a little bit more. So we've got a few points that we can...
So these are the key changes that
I've picked out, we could spend hours on this, right? So I've picked out a few key ones, but one of them that is interesting and is definitely worth talking about is the right to switch off. The overall...
Sorry, I switched off. Sorry.
Not disengaging your brain.
I'm sorry, but what about the right to switch on? Maybe we can start with that as a point for you. Can you just turn her on, please? Because I think she's turned off. I think she's completely turned
Wind
off.
her up. Get her going.
Just a little bit.
Commented on by many men
behind the
before.
fringe.
The flap's got to be on switch.
She's on. She's on again. There we go. She's back into life. Go.
This is a very serious topic. I'm so sorry. Right, back to you.
So let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so essentially the ethos is giving people the opportunity to disconnect outside of standard working hours. And we debated this earlier, right?
Doug likes this one.
Doug loves this one.
He's leaned in. He's done a Sheryl Sandberg on you, hasn't he? He's leaned right into this question.
So I'm interested, what's your thoughts on this?
Right, so you know what? I've worked in organisations where performance and output was proper performance and output rather than presenteeism and tokenistic. So what I would say is, ironically, it's probably the inverse of what we would think. High-performing organisations where people are treated like adults and they are allowed to contribute where and when they need to, they have, in my mind, they've been comfortable switching off on a weekend and not feeling on. And I remember in a role that I performed in particular, a very big role when I was on the C-suite. It was just one of those organisations where all as senior leaders did was be online and available
It
at the
became
time.
a culture.
Yes, it became a culture,
Yeah.
and to the point that if you hadn't replied in 5 minutes, you felt like it was diminishing your impact or your reputation at work. And I just think it's really interesting since I started working on the C-suite and I started to kind of running my own business. Ding.
You got there first.
I'm really good at that now, and I'm really.
You do it with a plum.
I'm no, not the ring.
Oh.
Oh my god!
Oh, with the off
It's giving me
switch.
fever. I thought you turned her on. Oh my god, she's still off. She's off. Turn her on. Oh my god. Not
wait
that.
for the next
I was
episode.
talking about my ability to turn off, and I've been doing some really kind of intense work for one of my clients this week, and I've had to be preparing some of these stats, and it was really interesting. We were talking about this was one of the stats about the need for senior leaders constantly to be on. One of the facts that I pulled out was that it was about how executives spend their time.
Yeah.
So I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but 35% all executives on average, the average exec will spend 37% of their time at work. One of the other stats I included in this deck as the narrative to draw them in was they also spend 70% of paid holidays being on and available.
Yeah.
Now, to me, I'm sorry, but holidays are lifesavers, and I've never gone on holiday and felt the need, regardless of how senior I've been or what role I've performed, to be on. So this is something I promote because we have a lot of dinosaurs in organisations.
Provocatively, though, the challenge, the counter to that is actually, but there is times in need in business where there is a level of service that you need to achieve or a response that you need to make where there is a need to work outside of your standard hours. And what we're doing is we're taking away the ability to kind of drive the performance in the organisation because people haven't had enough intuition to just level out working in a sensible way. And what we're actually doing is we're going far right the other way, where we're saying, actually, no, we shouldn't be doing that.
See, I would
And
challenge
there's a
that
balance,
slightly.
isn't there?
I think I would challenge that slightly because that's almost like saying we have a policy that says this and therefore everyone does it. And in my mind, a policy informs what you do, but intelligent people know how to apply it. It's again go back to that trust, treating people like adults. Intelligent people, you've got responsibilities, I would hope, unless you've hired the wrong people, that they would know, I'm going to take advantage of that when it suits me, but at the same time, I've got a really big weekend, I've got a project on and I'm going to be available, or there's something goes, particularly customer services roles or whatever. I think, again, it's about interpretation
And that's the trouble, though.
That's the trouble.
HR professionals are now going to have to go to the boardroom, and when this has gone wrong and the intelligence hasn't been applied, they're going to have to interpret what is right and what is wrong. And that is going to be... unfortunately, the boardrooms are going to dislike it, because all of the Labour policies, and I'm sure you will want to talk about other ones as well as this one, but it is a big debate, is that HR are going to be the one that sort of says, well, this is kind of what the legislation says, and this is the interpretation, and actually it's all gone terribly wrong, but we're trying to run a business, and they are going to be on the forefront.
Yes.
And being accused of saying no, when actually what they're trying to do is bring in good working practices.
And the
I feel sorry
practices
for
in principle are correct, but they are very employee focused. And actually, as employers who have struggled the last few years, who are trying to commercially run a business as well, just puts added pressure on the board table, but also on the HR who have to execute that.
But also it puts pressure on HR in organisations where leaders are poor. Let's be really honest. You know, leaders that rely on HR to do all the things that they should be doing as leaders, and we've all worked in environments like that. At the end of the day, you know, the clue's in the title for me. You're a line manager. It's about you exercising this discretion, you getting up to speed on this, you applying it in a fair and balanced way.
Absolutely.
You know, what can HR do other than write and advise, or write a policy and advise?
Totally agree.
So again, back to line managers, and we've had that conversation before as well, haven't we? What else is on your list?
So the others, I'm kind of joining them up a little bit. Flexible working and rights from day one will be changing, so it gives employees better rights from day one, and around the opportunity to give flexible working requests right at the beginning. So
I think that's particularly difficult about making decisions on recruitment. I think it puts people under more pressure when there is a lack of talent around that one, where the decision hasn't been a good one for both the employee and the employer. And I think we see in our business.
Oh, go on. There she is. You had to do it for her.
The eyes were looking, weren't
she's
they?
not- she's
If I lean forward in the cleavage shot, it's not planned.
What do you think this was?
Oh my god.
Can we leave that in?
It's not anyway, my point was, I
She's
can't
popped out on camera.
a lot of line managers struggle. I've actually gone red.
Well,
I never
I'm
go red.
not surprised. I've gone red for you. I'm professional.
My line managers struggle with making recruitment decisions because let's face it, recruitment decisions are very, very difficult. You're trying to make a decision about somebody for potentially the next 10 years, or whether they're right or wrong for the organisation, and sort of having rights right from the beginning, I think is a pressure on business.
Yeah.
But is it right? Probably yes.
So there's lots of good things. I think in principle, to summarise, we agree that the policies are to breed the right behaviour in business, and they to be fair to the employees, and I think that's right. And I think that the execution of that and the thought around it is critical, and actually that does need some thought from organisations.
But I think also, again, the government has gone, we're going to do all of this, and you know what, whoop, throw it over the fence to the organisation. And that's
our point.
And they're
really
often not
poor.
particularly thought through
They
to
never
the end
are.
where they should be, and actually
So
it's
we'll
being
say
dumped.
it to you, go and solve it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, so the government get the credit for introducing all these things, but the problem is then very much left to the
The
organisation
execution and
interpretation.
fallout
Yeah.
is the challenge.
And
my
and I don't
advice
agree with
would
that
be to the HR people out there is share practices and what you're doing, because this is coming.
Yeah, it is.
Sticking our head in the sand and pretending it's not going to happen, and that these rights are not coming in. It's in the manifesto. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It is.
But asking for help.
Yeah.
And asking what others are doing in their organisations, and not taking responsibility because it's my role as HR. It isn't. It's all of our collective responsibility as employers and leaders in a business.
And take a practical
to take
approach
a practical
to it.
and a well-informed approach to make sure that that these practices, policies and principles are introduced in a positive way.
And I think one of the things that we talked about last night, just as a final point, which was quite interesting, legislation is there to be interpreted. Yes, don't be strong-armed as a business of going against the grain as a result of this. Stay true to your values, stay true to your culture, and stay true to what works for you, because I think also that confidence in what you are as a business and what you offer and your relationship with your employees and your customers is really important as well. Because I think be bold. Don't wait for the rest to tell you what the right outcome is. Be really clear on, okay, well, we're going to make some really difficult decisions and this is our view. And I think that's important as well.
Agreed. Nicely said.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's been another lovely session in your living room.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
the end
all
of
the
that topic.
positive feedback on the interior design.
We have
and
had a few
decoration.
questions.
I'm wondering if there's just maybe a slight kind of nudge about, forget the HR, just go and do a bit of interior design. Actually, you know what? That'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
It would
You'll
be
be fabulous no matter what you do, as long as you switched on.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you all.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.